In 30 days, 3 different men, only miles apart, were accused of violent attacks where 5 lives were lost. They used different weapons, but what made each attack possible, according to those that know them, was the same broken system.
Unfortunately, he was always a bit high-strung. Didn't take much to get him going.
In early July, Detroit police responded to a call for 911 after 28-year-old Darian Walker pointed a gun at a neighbor. Throughout the previous year, he'd received treatment for mental illness, and sensing he still needed help, officers took him to a crisis center at Detroit Receiving Hospital. He was released the next day.
Drop it now! Drop it!
Police would see him 3 weeks later at the corner of Grand River and Myers. Wielding a samurai sword and knives, Walker threw a dagger at a Detroit cop. Seconds later, he was shot and killed.
You go into a crisis center, and then you're released with no follow-up. What treatment was administered?
911 calls involving the mentally ill are some of the most common Detroit police receive. Last year alone, officers responded to more than 8,000.
What we do, we talk. I start beating my chest, I'm angry. People talk about it for a short time, and then we go on to the next issue. And we know it's going to happen again.
Just 2 miles down the road, it would.
And he say, and sometimes I hear voices.
Lemetrius Jackson suffers from bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. His mom can hardly recognize the young man who'd been a Dean's List student at Wayne State. Today, hallucinations and paranoia dominate his life.
He would get on the medicine, off the medicine, on the medicine, off the medicine.
In the last 6 years, he's been hospitalized at least 7 times, never staying well for very long. His last stay came in 2019 after posting threatening messages to Facebook. Lemetrius was court-ordered to spend up to 60 days at a psychiatric hospital. He was out after a week.
My hands just feel like they were so tired. My hands was tired because I couldn't go any further.
Lemetrius was on his own for the next 18 months, until August 12th, when, while waiting for a bus on Detroit's west side, he would stab a man to death in broad daylight. His mother learned from a phone call.
When she told me what had happened. And only thing I could think was that my greatest fear had become a reality. It didn't have to happen.
Receiving 1 call, shooting a rifle in the air.
2 weeks later, this apartment complex in Dearborn Heights became a crime scene after Donnie Walker opened fire on his sister Danny and mother Hazel, killing them both.
Tragic shooting. And we don't have any answers because we don't know anything.
But we know, according to family, that Walker suffered from mental illness, and once police arrived, he turned the gun on them.
He started shooting at the officers. He let off at least 5 or 6 rounds.
After a brief standoff with police, Walker was shot and killed.
He's on the balcony laid out dead, and Hazel and Danny's in the apartment. It's just tragic.
Where do the alarm bells ring? Who should be hearing that and seeing those red flags?
Well, I think that is a design change that we can actually look at.
Willie Brooks is the president of the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network, which treated both Lemetrius Jackson and Darian Walker. He acknowledges how ill-equipped the mental health system is to spot the red flags that precede the kind of tragedies we've told you about. Today, he's trying to change that, with newly announced pilot programs that add mental health providers at police precincts, build a new crisis center on Woodward Avenue, and assign staff to clients with frequent hospitalizations or arrests.
Whenever you see those high, frequent visits, you want to start reacting to them and assigning individuals so that hopefully we can prevent these types of things in the future.
Pilot programs like these can surely help, but only systemic change will stop the senseless losses that keep piling up. There will be more stories like these. We know what isn't working. When will we finally fix it?
Followed up on medicine, following up on your treatment. How do you leave that in the hand of somebody who's not even mentally capable of making decisions? It's like you put them out there to be eaten by the wolves,